everybody, this is Thane Sheehy, and we're going to try my first ever Agile podcast. So today I wanted to really start at the beginning, at the top, and that is to talk a little bit about Agile leadership and what that really means. We'll try to target this to be maybe 10 or 15 minutes, something like that, and see how it goes. So Agile leadership is really about setting a culture in place and setting a way of thinking about how you're going to plan and deliver your products in an agile way. And what that really means is an iterative, short cycles, deliver, see how it works, learn, and adjust kind of a way. So a lot of times we apply this to software. However, it's not only applicable to software, it can really be applied to any sort of discipline in an organization or any sort of product. So you might imagine that you might still build a roadmap for your product, and that might be a 6-month lookout of key features that you want to work on and how things are prioritized, with those things being at the top of the priority list, being those items that deliver the most value or are most important to the client. And then that prioritized list continues to adjust itself on a weekly or perhaps a monthly basis. So it depends on how volatile your industry is, and how much you are capturing the feedback from the clients that are making use of the items that have made it into production. So, sorry for the cold. The audience for this podcast is really those folks in the middle layer of management. So what we find often is that as the middle layer of management, you are taking instruction from perhaps a senior product officer or a chief marketing manager, chief marketing officer, but you're stuck in the middle. And what we find a lot, a couple of the recent companies that I've talked to, is that those folks read the book on Agile leadership and promptly forgot some of the key tenets of what that means. So they remembered the part about being flexible. They remembered the part that they get to change the priority list. They just forgot about the part that they're supposed to create some sort of stability within the team that's actually delivering the product once that team has picked up a particular feature to work on. So a few things that you could try to remind them: Agile is really not about chaos. While they get to adjust the items in the priority list, once the team has picked up an item to work on, they're supposed to, as management and as setting a culture, they're supposed to allow the team to actually finish that particular item, assuming that your cycles are fairly short, somewhere in the 2 to 4 week timeline. So we like short timelines because it is a period of time when the team could stand alone and work on this item and focus their attention, really get into the flow zone, and deliver a piece of work with quality that can then be delivered into production. But often the management is about halfway through the 4-week cycle. At the 2-week moment, they decide, no, they should add some more items to the list, maybe split up the team, peel somebody off to work on something urgent, and all of a sudden the concentration of the team goes way down. So you could try, as either you're a scrum master or maybe you're a dev manager or some sort of a product manager that's pretty close to the team that's working on the product, you could remind them that Agile is really not about chaos, that they have all the flexibility they want in the backlog of items, but once an item has been picked off the list, they should leave that item alone. And they should let the team focus, because that is a part of the culture as well. The team is supposed to be able to focus so that they deliver with quality, so that they improve their teamwork and really use the power of the teamwork to actually deliver the item. You could try using the analogy of the grocery store, which is one that I personally like a lot. The grocery store, mathematically, the line at the grocery store is based on a section of mathematics called queuing theory. So the fastest way to push items out of a factory of sorts is to have a single queue with multiple servers. So you might find in the larger grocery stores these days, you have one line to wait in, but you have all these checkers that can take the next available person off the line. That's mathematically based on this line of mathematics called queuing theory. And it proved that this is the fastest way to get items through the checkout line. The most number of customers out the door. Because that's where you get the money, right? You get the money when the person is at the end of their checkout, they've paid for their items, and they leave the store happy. So you could imagine a silly scenario where the team, the checker, picks the item, takes the person and their cart into their checkout line, and all of a sudden, somebody says, no, they want to pull that checker to work on some other line, or the client says, I've got 3 items that are still in the store, I need to go run and get them. Oh, and you can take these other 3 items out and put them away, and they could create this mass chaos of what's happening during the checkout process. That would not be very efficient. And it would slow down the amount of time it takes for the checker to actually complete the checkout. And so, the items, the way to get the most items out the door is to make sure everyone's got all the items in their basket, that once they move into the checkout line, the checker pays attention to them, that all the items get scanned, and that the person gets paid and out the door as quickly as possible. So the goal is to reduce the cycle time. The same is true of building software. When the item has come into the team, we want the team to pay attention to it. We want them to focus. We want them to understand what they're supposed to do and to actually have a reasonably small cart, so to speak, that they can process and get out the door, capture the money, and move on. Now, the other thing that makes that work in the grocery store is that the items that are in the cart are ready for checkout. And what that really means in the grocery store scenario is they have their barcodes on them, or they have been, if they're a fruit or vegetable item, they've been weighed and they have a weight and a price on them. So what that means in the case of software is that these user stories are spec'd out. There's acceptance criteria. The definition of ready has been met, and the definition of done is well understood, and the team knows what they have to do to complete the checkout of the item and to deliver it into production. They also know that the environment in which that they are going to work and deliver, whether that's dev, test, QA, and however many environments you have in the pipeline, that those are all prepared and ready to go and usable by the team. So we're trying to make the flow as efficient as possible by making sure the items are ready as they enter the team's work, and that all the supporting mechanisms are in place so that the team can deliver the item into production as quickly as possible, which is where the cash comes in the door. It's also where we begin to learn what works. So in the grocery store scenario, they're counting how many items have been sold of a particular type. And so in a software scenario, once the item goes into production, we can see how the clients or the users like those particular features. And we can pay more attention to features that are well liked and well used and well understood. There's no complaints about them, they don't fail. And we can begin to deprioritize items that maybe nobody's really using, or they're only for a certain very small subset of users. I think measuring your cycle time, starting to measure these things, the main purpose of our, well, maybe not main purpose, but one of the key purposes of keeping boards like Trello boards or Jira boards, whatever your Kanban boards are, is to create data points where we can measure cycle time. We can figure out where things are getting stuck in the pipeline. We can see, for example, that there are items that go on hold because there's some dependency on something outside of the team's control. And these are red flags that can be fixed over time so that, again, the team flow and the cycle time goes as smoothly as possible and cycle time begins to be reduced. So that is really where we're going. And it decreases over time the churn of the team, the number of things that are creating impediments It reduces your impediments over time because you begin to see what's the common causes of those impediments. And then the team can flow, can concentrate, it can increase their flow and concentrate and actually deliver your features out the door. The more you mess with the team, the less you get stuff out the door. And getting stuff out the door is where you get the revenue. So, message to middle management, please remember to explain this to your senior managers. Senior managers, if you are cause of this problem, please remember what's going on here. You are trying to get features out the door. You are not trying to maximize the maximize the resource utilization of each individual person. That is old thinking. New thinking is we need systems thinking, and we need to optimize the whole of the system, which is the throughput, the things that come out the door, not the number of items being worked on at one point in time. That kind of multitasking doesn't deliver more value to production, which is where you get your ultimate business value. So I think that's really probably enough for today. And my first podcast, if you like it, be sure to follow it. Be sure to subscribe to my Facebook page, maybe my webpage if you like that. You can also send me a connection in LinkedIn. And if I can help you with any other things, either on-site or online, I do provide leadership, teamwork coaching, as well as Agile coaching on-site with teams, and supporting Scrum Masters in helping to improve their teams. Thank you. Until next time.